Okay, so this is just a follow-up to my stories and the things that you've been hearing about HB 311. So this is the bill that would prohibit children from using social media. This is being pushed by the Biden administration. What really tipped us off too, it already sounded fishy, but there was somebody received a call from a Google exec who said, hey, you need to know what's in this bill. You need to know this identical bill is being pushed in 7 other states right now, and you need to know where it comes from. The fact that the Biden administration has done nothing to protect children, they do not stand up against human trafficking, they don't stand up against pornography, they don't stand up against anything that's attacking children right now, that why would they care about their social media usage? There's something really fishy about this. So basically, an adult would have to put in their government issued ID to use social media. Well, that's linked to your address. That's linked to a whole bunch of private information about you that should not be made public. And you're giving that openly to big tech, which, come on, we've had so many issues with big tech. We've had Facebook leaks, we've had the Twitter files, we've had so many things go wrong with big tech. We do not trust big tech with our information. They also would have information about your children because the children's name, they know who your kids are, and they would be linked to you and your address. It doesn't make sense to punish adults and force them to give up their privacy in the name of protecting children, right? Why not just create a PR campaign to educate people to help, learn more about parental controls, or instead of these government sanctioned blocks, right? Prohibitions. So this bill, I'm going to read you part of these things. It will identify children. It collects and stores their birth date, parents' information, addresses. So it also has in the bill that they will issue a Utah state issued ID, that's a government issued ID, and to verify that you're an adult. And if they put a number attached to your name, all they do is put in the number to find you. It's not a hard thing. So in an attempt to make children safe, Utah actually puts children's identifications at risk on the dark web. In the name of saving children, they're actually saying people will need to give up their constitutional rights of privacy with face scans, and your social credit score, that's a huge thing, will be linked to this too. So if you do things or say things that they may not like or approve of, you can have a social credit score. It's the same as ESG. This is basically all the things that we've been fighting against for the last 3 years. And not to sound prideful, but we've been right for 3 years. So please listen, because this was the whole push for all these vaccine passports and all this stuff is all linked to ESG and our social credit score. Okay, I'm just gonna read a few questions just to try to help you think through some things, okay? So why is Utah using a bill that Google has found to be identical and released at the same time in 7 other states? Is this really a Utah bill? Or did the governor get this bill from a National Governors Association? Is the NGA connected to the United Nations or the World Economic Forum? Have you checked? The answer is yes, by the way. So this is coming from the World Economic Forum, from the UN. Why did the World Economic Forum say that the US would have hate speech legislation by the end of 2023? And does this look like it would be a good first step in identifying users? So basically what that means is they did just release a bill that would stop hate speech, which anything could be called hate speech. Just like I said in my story last night, like Michael Scott, right? Well, I hated it. So that anything could be hate speech. So a bill to stop free speech is terrifying because that is what makes America America. All speech is protected. And so they're releasing a bill, and what it would actually do is silence every single conservative voice or every single voice that's speaking truth on social media, because you wouldn't pass the social credit score to be able to have social media, and it's linked to your digital ID. So they could stop you from getting loans, buying cars, homes, all that stuff. This is a huge, huge deal. So why not first, this is what I touched on earlier, but why not first educate the public on Representative Pulsipher's really good bill on parental controls? Why not teach parents about how to use those before considering this bill of just taking away all control that the parents have? There are parents speaking out that say that their kids use social media to talk to relatives, or some kids run businesses on Instagram. And this is the parents' job to dictate, not the government's job. Why even consider a bill that identifies adults and children, and as a result, children's addresses? Do you trust the internet and big tech after the last 2 years? No, hopefully not. Do we trust them with anything, especially your entire state's identities? Even if people do use credit cards online, isn't everything on your driver's license more risky for identity theft and government tracking? Identity theft. I have to make sure I hit all these points. Will you repeal this bill? This is so to our legislators. Will you repeal this bill if the federal government passes a hate speech bill like England, the EU, and China have, and start coming after Utahns and political grassroots groups? Did you know that the Senate sponsor in the Business and Labor Committee on Tuesday cited England and the EU as precedents for this bill? Did you know that England arrested 3,395 people in 1 year for politically unpopular online comments? That's horrifying and terrifying. And doesn't precedent of the United States mean other states? Are we going to start citing North Korea or China for their civil rights precedents? I'm sorry, reading so many things right now. So basically, they are punishing people for their free speech, for their social media posts, for all of that in other countries. So do you think that tying your identity to your social media account would be a great way for the government to start using a social credit score online? Yes. Please understand, yes. Do you see how this bill could be detrimental to you and your family members? Does HB 311, this is a big one, you need to know what else is going on in Utah right now. Does HB 311 seem to be the online surveillance to go along with all the real surveillance cameras that seem to have gone up overnight around Utah? Is this what Utah Connected meant when they stated that Utah was designated as the first smart surveillance state? This is not good news. This is really bad. You do not want to be a surveillance state. That's China. Just a sec, honey. And then lastly, does the bill seem to violate freedom of speech, privacy, and unreasonable data collection to participate and have freedom of association in society? So I just lastly want to say, we do have some really great legislators up at the Capitol who are doing a great job. They're early, they're late, they're working hard. There are so many bills that come at them so fast, and they're trying their best. This one sounds so good on the outside. It sounds like, yeah, of course we would do this for our kids. But if you look deeper, there's some really sinister things in this bill. So please, to our legislators, please look at what this means, look at all this is going to lead to. Don't just look at what they call it, because it sounds good. If Biden's pushing it, I'm sorry, it's not great. He doesn't have a great track record. We know that. And from the outside, it looks good, but there's so many sinister, terrible, controlling, scary government overreach things in this bill. So please vote no on HB 311. Thank you.